welcome everyone. Today we have a very special and cool guest, Rich Froning.
Fittest man on earth.
And Jay Cutler.
Not the fittest man.
So,
thanks for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me.
Hey, honestly, do you think that you're in the top 5% of fittest people on the planet?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
I don't either.
Top 5, yeah.
You think
on the
so?
planet?
Yeah.
Fittest?
Fittest? I don't know. That's
Maybe. Depends on how you define fitness.
Yeah.
I did 100 burpees yesterday.
There you go.
For time.
How long?
Way too long.
Yeah, way too long. I started this on deployment a handful of years ago, and I did it every day for about 3 months, and I got to under 10 minutes. I think it was like 8 minutes or something like that was my best. But yesterday I was just paying the man the whole way through.
I mean, no breaks. I mean, we just kind of just...
No, I do 10, write a chalk mark, take a breather, sip of water, another 10. And then my last 30, I divided up in 2 sets of 15.
Just to get it over with.
But when I was doing it often, I would just start slow and just try to keep that rhythm as long as I can and get to 50 and then break it up and then power through like the last 20 or something of that nature.
I did too many up downs in high school football, so like I'm out on that.
done with those?
Yeah, I'm done with that whole down and up thing.
I don't blame you.
So, Rich, tell us. We'll just start in chronological order, make things easy. Tell us where you grew up.
So I was actually born in Michigan. Don't hold that against me. Sorry, Jay. I'm a Lions fan, lifelong Lions fan. It's been a rough life.
It is.
Yeah, it's been a real rough life.
I was pulling for him.
Can we talk about the?
Absolutely. I mean, it is still kind of fresh. I'm going through stages of depression.
You want to kick it? I mean, are you saying go for it,
dude? Live by the sword, die by the sword. I'm 100% behind Dan Campbell. I mean, that's what we did all year. You know, like I mean. Yeah, I mean, you can play devil's advocate, and I'm not even mad at Josh Reynolds, but you catch that 4th down ball or that 3rd down ball is a completely different game. So I didn't like the run on 3rd down with 2 minutes to go, but you still got to get an onside kick. We know that's not going to happen. Like, come on. So 100% behind Dan Campbell on that. I was actually at the Bucks Lions game the week before.
Okay.
And dude, I was going to the Super Bowl. I was 100%. My wife had already given me the approval. So man, it was.
They kept Ben Johnson too.
Yeah,
that's a huge. That is
huge keep. So
I was with him in Miami, and I mean he was brilliant then. He was super young. So for you guys to keep him, I mean you got a shot to run it back.
It's big, man. I just like the vibe that they give off now, and it just feels better than. I mean, like I said, I've been a lifelong Lions fan, so
I would love to play with. I would have loved to have played for Dan Campbell. I mean,
he seems just like a dude.
Yeah, the dudes, the guys just seem to just rally around him.
Right. So it's fun time to be a Lions fan for once. So I mean, the hard part was like just getting your heart ripped out. I'd been fine to lose by 3. If you had told me beginning of the season, hey, we lose by 3 in the NFC Championship, hell yeah. But to have the like. You know, you gave me hope. It's like Hawkeye in Endgame, where he's just like, "Don't give me hope." That was me. You know, I'm on a flight to Bozeman, Montana, jumping up and down, like trying to like contain myself. And then when we hit the ground, it was just pure, What
were you doing in Bozeman?
We went out and hung out with Ronella, did the Meat Eater trivia podcast, did a little workout with Giannis, so that was cool. But man, so born in Michigan, moved here when I was 4, so Tennessee is home for me. I've got a ton of family that lives in Michigan still, and we're really close on my mom's side only. We have there's 32 of us, 32 cousins, and 25 of us are boys. So everything was a competition, everything was sports, and so did that growing up. Played baseball a bunch, and then dabbled in football a little bit. First game I got to start, I tore my labrum in my right shoulder, and so trying to recover a fumble. And
surgery?
I rehabbed the crap out of it because I didn't want to miss baseball. And first play of our scrimmage, I dove back into the bag and subluxed it again. So for the whole season, I would just rehab it with TheraBands instead of throw. And then after the season, my junior year, I ended up having, I think it was like 7 anchors put in because where it had come out and come back in so many times, it actually cracked the humeral head.
Did you get that surgery?
I had that.
Yeah, labrum's the worst, man.
The rehab sucks.
Oh, it's awful.
I have a torn labrum right now, and I'm delaying it as long as I can.
Strengthen that rotator cuff, man. Strengthen that rotator cuff.
Did you ever have any problems lifting overhead or anything afterwards?
My right shoulder is my good shoulder. My left one's my trash one. So
there you go.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but did that. Went to East Tennessee, Walter State, to play baseball, junior college there. Got there and missed home. So I came back home, was a firefighter in Cookeville. They paid my tuition to Tennessee Tech. So I did that for 4 years, and in the process found CrossFit. And so that was about 2010, 2011, and then the rest is history. As they
when
say.
did CrossFit start?
I was doing it in Buds.
Is that a Canada? Is that where it's
No, California.
California?
I was doing it in Buds in 2006. I think Andy Stumpf and Dave
Castro.
Yeah, Dave Castro. They were both instructors, I believe. I know Andy was.
Was that the Dave is a prick sticker era?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I do remember those stickers.
Yeah, you remember those stickers?
Yeah, for sure. So we started doing it in second phase. I think Fran was a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
Then, you know, and
what's Fran?
It's a workout that
thrusters and pull-ups, 21, 15, 9. Doesn't sound terrible, but it's just it's awful.
And then I forget the name of the other one. There's 5 rounds of something.
Murph is the one. Everybody does it now.
No,
it's
that
1
was
mile,
before
100
Murph.
pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats.
I forget what it was called, but that was my introduction to it.
Nice. I think they went live with the website in 2001. The guy who started it, Greg, says he's been training people like that since like the 80s or 70s. So it's really just
Fight Gone Bad.
Fight Gone Bad. Yeah, that was. I want to say it was who he was training one of the early UFC fighters, and he made that workout up. So it's like 5 minutes or 5 different exercises, 1 minute of each exercise, then you get a 1 minute break between rounds.
I think there's rowing, box jumps, wall ball,
push press,
something like
sumo
that.
Deadlift high pull. I think sumo deadlift high pull. I can't remember it, but crappy workout.
Yeah,
hurts.
So I like those high intensity workouts though. Just get it over with.
Get it over with. Get it done. Move on.
That's what I thought about my 100 burpees yesterday until I was out there for 40 minutes.
You had a long weekend.
Yeah, I did. Sweating it out.
There you go. Where were you guys at in Texas?
Out in West Texas.
West Texas.
Yeah. And
the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, had a great time. So, what position did you play in baseball?
Middle infield. Played short till I destroyed my shoulder, then played second.
Okay. And then became a firefighter afterwards?
Firefighter, yeah.
How long were you a firefighter before you got introduced to CrossFit and started running with that?
4 years. I would have stayed with that, honestly. And one of my professors, I was getting a degree in exercise science just to get a degree to promote faster within the fire department, and enjoyed working out. And one of our professors was the head strength and conditioning coach. And he's one day after class, he said, you like working out? You're a firefighter, a lot of military, police, fire, similar to what you're talking about. Do CrossFit, you should check it out. And so,
did you just fall in love with it?
Yeah, man. And just, having the competitive aspect of, 4-time. I didn't even know you could compete in it when I first started. I was just like, this is cool. It's different than just bodybuilding or whatever. Really, all CrossFit is they've taken everything that's cool about fitness and combined it into one, so there's all these different things that you do, and helped a lot for the job that I was doing at the time. Like I said, it gave me that hyper competitive, when I was a kid, everything we did as kids was like, hey, who's the fastest to run around the pond? Who can swim across the pond the fastest? And at the time, I thought they're trying to figure out which one of us is the most dominant cousin. And now being a father, I'm like, they're just trying to wear us out, But then they this deep-seated, competitive nature in all of us now is completely, blamed on our parents.
So, is your mom have a lot of brothers and sisters?
My mom's one of 9.
Okay.
Yep, 1 of 9.
Excellent.
Catholic.
Yeah,
Irish and Catholic.
My wife's dad is one of 19.
Holy cow.
So my wife, we had 250 people to our wedding, and I think I had 9.
Yeah, yeah, that's the way ours was.
But mayhem. So you got into CrossFit. At what point did you realize that you could do it full time and or start competing? What was that transition like?
Yeah, so one of my cousins, I went up, we were working out, showing him CrossFit. He enjoyed CrossFit. He was one of 6. His 2 older brothers had passed, different circumstances. His oldest one was my best friend. And so he went from being the middle to now being the oldest. And he wasn't in trouble or anything, but he was just stuck in a rut. And he was just graduating high school. I'm like, hey, move to Tennessee. And his mom's one rule was he had to have a job. Well, we couldn't find him a job. So we were like, let's open a gym. I'm finishing my exercise science degree, still firefighting a little bit. I think I'd actually just finished the fire department. And so we started a gym. And granted, it was like we had a really good family friends that owned a gymnastics and cheerleading studio, and they gave us 400 square feet in the corner to train people. So it was awesome. Weren't the greatest businessmen. It was more like a fraternity. It's like, you can't afford $100 a month. Give us 20. So we didn't make any money, but we got really fit. And in the process, we started watching just CrossFit videos all the time, right? And one of the videos was this competition called the CrossFit Games. And so we're like, all right, next year let's try some of the workouts. And our times were comparable. Granted, it was like those guys were out in California. It's hot. And, they're doing 9 events a day where we were only doing 1 or 2 a day and trying it out. So times were comparable. So I'm like, all right, maybe next year let's give it a shot. And
so you guys trained for just 1 year before the 2010?
Yeah.
And you got second.
Right at it, yeah. I got second, yeah. I fell off a rope. I blamed my dad.
So, going into it, did anyone know who you were? Did you think, like, I got a shot at placing?
Absolutely not. I showed up. It was on the way. Like, back then, now you have the open, quarterfinals, semifinals, whatever. But at the time, it was sectionals, and anybody could sign up for it. You showed up to sectionals. If you were the top 15, you went to regionals. Regionals, the top 5 went to the CrossFit Games, right? So I finished our first competitions on the way to spring break. I'm like, I'll stop and see. My cousin didn't sign up. He was supposed to sign up. We show up and there's, I think it was like 78 guys. We stayed at a hotel. It cost $38 a night. Had a do not rent to list. The chair was being held up by a tuna can. That type of hotel.
I've stayed there.
Yep. And so we show up and there's 78, 80 guys and they all look like out of the movie 300. And I'm like, man, if I'm not in the top like 20, let's go ahead and get an early jump on spring break, right? Yeah. And so finished the first event, sitting there dying, right? And Darren goes up, checks the whiteboard where they'd put the times, and he comes back with this confused look. He goes, "You won that workout." I was like, "Sure, I guess we'll stay," So I ended up winning that sectional. Went to regionals. My whole goal was to just get to regionals that year and ended up winning that regional. Went to the CrossFit Games. And then the way the games worked at the time was it's like golf. You finish first, you get 1 point, or similar to golf, lowest score wins.
Okay.
But first you get 1 point, however many guys. I think it was like 40 guys there. And so going into the final day, I'm in the lead, right? And so they take the top, I want to say 15, use that number, men and women, pull us into a room, take cell phones, take everything, and they just pull 5 or 6 people out at a time. Really? You don't know what you're going to do. You don't know. You have no idea what's going on. So
was this at the ranch or the farm?
No, this was at the StubHub Center. Or now it's, I don't even know. It's one of the It's in Carson, California. This is the first year they had it in the stadium, and people just disappear and they don't come back.
Oh wow!
Like, all right, what's about to happen? Like lions and tigers out there or whatever, you start playing these head games. Well, then we go to walk out and we're the last 5 or 6, I can't remember, and go to take, everybody takes their shirt off in CrossFit, go to take our shirt off, and Dave Castro goes, might want to leave your shirt on, it's effing hot out there. The floor was like 120 degrees. So they pull us out. As soon as they pull us out, they tell us what the workout is. He's like, all right, 30 push-ups, scale this like 10, 12-foot wall, 21 overhead squats, back over, 3 rounds for time, 3, 2, 1, go. And everybody's looking around like, what did he just say? So then you had to just look around and see what everybody was doing.
Yeah.
Finish that. He's like, all right, next workout it was like snatches and toes to bar. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. And just complete, everybody's destroyed. It's hot. You don't know what the hell just drunk at this point. So then the final workout is 6 burpees, I think, 5 burpees over this 6-foot wall or 5-foot wall and 3 rope climbs. No big deal. When I was a kid, we had a rope in the barn, one of our barns that we had, and my dad was like, climb it every day. Problem was, he said, don't use your feet because that's for pussies. And so I go to climb this rope, completely just no grip in my hands, no nothing, full dying, go to climb the rope. Can't do it because don't know how to use my feet. People are just up and down with their feet.
Sure.
So I'm stuck on this rope, right? And so I ended up getting up at 3 times. There's a nice fail on YouTube if you look it up. And my kid even brings it up. Her PE teacher brought it up to her. But I fell. I got up at 3 times and fell. But I ended up, Graham Holmberg won the CrossFit Games by 3 points. So 3 places over the whole weekend. I got second, and all because my dad told me not to use my feet. So I blame Dad.
Did you look over and see other people?
Oh yeah, I'm trying to emulate.
People are
trying. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. If you watch the video, it's hard to watch. But people are. Well, some guy took his shoelace off, and is trying to show me how to like clamp it, and I'm, you're just completely delirious, gone.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was.
Has anyone ever told you look like Aaron Rodgers?
No, nobody's ever told me that.
I keep thinking I'm talking to Aaron right now. Maybe it's just a hat. So then, after that, did you start getting endorsements and stuff?
Yeah,
for CrossFit?
So I remember it when I landed. There was 2 companies competing, kind of equipment companies, and I went with the first one. I'm actually with the second one now, only because I'm a loyalty guy, and they were the first people to offer me.
Yeah.
But then now, Rogue, who I'm with now, man, Bill and Katie are incredible. Yeah. So started doing that, and then Andy Stump actually called me. He was working for CrossFit with Reebok. It was kind of a weird, the whole dynamics of CrossFit in those days was interesting. And I mean, you learn as you go, and you're just like, oh, that's not how other sports do this, you know? So it's very good old boy system back then. But so I signed with Reebok. I think it was like 10 grand or something like that. But at the time I'm like, hell yeah, I'm rolling in money, right? Come on. And so I was actually an assistant strength coach at the time. And then, you know, like through endorsements, I started making, like, I was a glorified grad assistant, you know, like making $1,000 a month. And so I remember I just had this conversation the other day. BSN, one of the supplement companies, reaches out and they're like, hey, we want to sponsor you. I'm like, cool. It was like double. I think it was $24,000. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm in. So then I get a call from the compliance officer. They sent the contract up, and he's like, well, you know, they sell one product that's not NCAA approved. I'm like, cool, I'm not promoting that product. I don't use that product. Yeah. And he, I still remember this to this day, he sat across from me at the desk and goes, you know, I think it sends the wrong message to our student athletes. And, you know, back in my day, we did the old fashioned way with hard work. And he's like 250, 300 pounds telling me this. And I'm like, all right, I'm out, you know, like, because they were going to pay me double and then triple the next year. So I'm like, no, I'm out. And I don't need you telling me you did it the old fashioned way with hard work. So, but yeah, it's, you know, not making NFL money for sure, but it was making decent money that I could work out for a living, you know?
So then the second year you win.
Yep.
But they introduced swimming at this point?
Oh, it was the first year we had to swim. I showed up to the games, you know, this newfound, like I kind of had this backstory of like coming to why I was doing what I was doing and realizing that faith had kind of become the focus of it, you know, and I'm like, all right, I'm good to go. You know, God's got me, and I finished 27th, and I'm like,
in the swimming.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, well, I guess he's trying to show me how to be a humble loser, you know. So it was eye opening, and then from then on, it was like I think I won a couple events, and then was in first, and so it was cool, but it was definitely like, oh yeah, you think you're good? Nah, you're not so good.
So to back up just a little bit, you get second in your first CrossFit Games, just a nobody out of the, you know, out of the blue, and then you're preparing for your second year, right? So now you have a taste of it. You know what it's like, the competition. How hard did you hit it, and what was your daily routine like that in between your first and your second CrossFit Games? Yeah,
honestly, a ton didn't change because we were kind of early on, you know, when CrossFit, the first couple of times, I remember watching a video and they're like, hey, you can only work out once a day this hard or you'll die.
Yeah.
And I remember me and my cousin, who we trained together all the time and still one of my best friends, we did a workout that morning, and we were also like working at a kind of a everyday, like a corporate fitness center, Averitt Express. And we're watching some videos and we're like, oh, that's a cool workout. Let's try another workout and see if we die, you know? Like we finish the second workout, we're like, oh, we're still alive, you know? So we were kind of on the front side of what guys and girls do now, where it's just like, for 6 and 8 hours a day, you're just training. And so what I did between those 2 years, like I said, besides having kind of a mental shift, I backed up and was like, all right, instead of trying to do everything as fast as I can, let me try to do it as efficient as possible, move better, you know, really concentrate on doing things the right way. Because, you know, CrossFit does get a bad rap on, you know, oh, they're just trying to do it as fast as they can. They don't really care about form, which is complete BS. Like we teach people, it's like playing any sport, or we always use the NASCAR analogy. Like you want to go as fast as you can, and you don't want to slam into the wall, but you want to like push those edges a little bit, but also be under, you know, pretty good technique. And
Rubbin's racing.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, I would say the big thing I did was like try to learn how to do everything, but also we did a ton of volume and a ton of we just beat the shit out of each other.
Were you guys going to like chiropractors and have like PT and all that stuff?
Like, you know, early on, I had just a family friend chiropractor that I would see pretty regularly. And then now we've got like an ATC at the gym.
Because that shit's hard on your body.
It beats you up, man. Like I'm like in this weird kind of generation where I competed with older guys that were a lot of gym owners, firefighters and stuff. And then also with the athletes that was their only job,
pros, yeah.
And so I've done a little bit of both. And, on the early side, yeah, you're like, back in my day, I've got that a little bit, but then I'm also still training with some of these younger kids at times where I'm like, what the hell am I still doing here? Like this kid's, you think they're your age now and they're like 22 and 23 and I'm just not on the, I don't recover as fast. That's what I've learned,
So then
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so then that's the first year you won, correct?
2011,
yeah.
First
and
year.
Then you continued to win through 2014.
14, and then I had my first daughter.
What was your
4 straight?
That's remarkable. What was the biggest change over those 4 years? Would it be workout routine, recovery, nutrition?
Oh man,
was your diet strict?
No, that was my probably. Everybody knew me for my diet not being strict. A lot of these guys and girls, and when you're a high level athlete, like there's a difference in CrossFit for the everyday person, and there's a difference in CrossFit for high level athletes. Yeah, you should. If you're doing this for longevity, diet is a huge part of it, and still as a high level athlete, diet is a huge part of it, but still you got to get in food and calories and carbohydrates and stuff like that. So, but yeah, my diet was notoriously not, it is cleaned up a lot.
I think I remember seeing a video of you during the CrossFit Games.
Eating like 2-day-old pizza or something.
Yep. That was exactly it.
Yeah.
Just crushing pizzas. Everybody's like, oh, I'm getting, this, I'm getting that. And there's Rich with his pizzas.
Pizza or hamburger or whatever. Yeah, man, we, I started working out so I could eat whatever I wanted to, like in the early on. And then, that's, we always say, do as I say, not as I do. And I have decent genetics on that side where it's like, it's a little bit different. But yeah, diet was never a huge thing. And then, like even in that video you're talking about, like guys and girls kind of like when they finish, they go into the room and just kind of like whatever. I liked having people around and, trying to take my mind off of whatever I was about to have to do. And then I could lock in whenever it was time to go, I could lock in. But when I don't have to lock in, I wanted to be shooting the shit and hanging out, locker room type stuff,
Well, big on supplements?
Yes and no, like
so you're just a genetic
protein,
freak, so we're learning right now.
Yeah, kind of.
Gotcha.
I've definitely good genetics. But yeah, no, I mean, I take protein. I do drink caffeine in the morning. I try to stay away from caffeine in the evenings, just so I don't get too fired up and awake. But I'll depending on where my diet's at, if I need to make up with something, I might take a red or green every once in a while. But if I'm eating pretty good, I'm not worried about it. But protein is big. I'll take like some beta alanine or something, just get that little tingle every once in a while. And then depending on what I'm trying to do, like last year I did that Leadville 100 mountain bike race. And so I was taking in a carb supplement and because you just can't. It was cool. It was different. Like I've trained for, you probably understand, you guys understand, like once you've done one thing for so long, you're like, let me try something else and just see what the training is like for this. And it was cool. It was refreshing. It was it probably would have been more fun if I hadn't like put the target on my back that I wanted the big belt buckle, the 9-hour belt buckle. And so I'm like, all right, I got to do this, So it was cool.
Did you do it?
Yeah. 8:32. Well, it was just one of those that you're just like, I watched the documentary and, if you get 12 hours, you get a belt buckle. But if you get sub 9, you get a big belt buckle. Yeah. My wife just does not understand. She's well, can't we just buy that thing on Etsy? And I'm like, yeah, we can, but I want to earn it. Like I don't do it for that reason. It's in my sock drawer with all my other medals. Like I don't care about that stuff. But, to me, I'm like, yeah. So a little different.
What about nicotine? I was watching a video yesterday, and well, the reason I'm asking, I think you guys rode for 24 hours or something like that.
Yeah,
and then I see someone throwing in a nicotine pouch.
So Watkins, who works at our coffee shop, he loves nicotine. I've tried nicotine. I've never. So my dad's drug talked to me when I was a kid. Hey, like we're sitting there, we were working on a 4-wheeler or a truck or something. He looks at me and he goes, "Hey, we need to have a talk." And I'm like, oh shit, like here's the talk, right? And he goes, "You're pretty good at sports. You got a chance to play, in college." He goes, I had a chance to play in college. He goes, started smoking weed, made me not want to do shit. Now I can't remember shit. He's like, he's like, you're your own man, but I don't recommend you smoke weed. And I've never touched weed, never touched a cigarette, anything. And so just because I respected that, I was like, you know what? No, I'm not doing it. And so I did try a nicotine gum for the first time. It was like 3 weeks ago. I'm notoriously bad for meetings. I'll just derail them, like at the gym when we have like real meetings. 30 minutes, 45 minutes is about my limit, and then it's just complete chaos. So one of our guys that he's our president, he's like, here, try nicotine gum. It'll help chill you out. No, it does the exact opposite. It's like alcohol. If I drink alcohol, it's like something's going to get set on fire. I'm going to climb something, or like it's just not good. You know, it really depends on the situation, but nicotine gum, not good for me. So, yeah.
So then you guys started doing teams?
Yeah, so
4 straight, and then you went to team?
So, yeah, so when we had our oldest, Lakeland, you know how it is. Like, if you want to be the best in the world at anything, you're obsessed with it. You're like, that's what encompasses who you are.
Sure.
And especially if you're trying to be the number one in the world at anything. And so and it had gotten to, it was time, you know, like I was burnt out a little bit where I'm like,
I mean, those 4 years that you won, I mean, are you training year round?
Year round, man.
No,
and we would do these.
There wasn't be like, hey, let me take a month off?
No, heck no, dude. It was like Christmas when you're a kid, where the next day after Christmas, you're like, what's for Christmas next year? You know, like it's almost like this letdown of like, well, I got everything I wanted pretty much, but I wanted something else. And so, man, it was just for 4 years. That's all it was. And
was all your income coming from CrossFit?
Yeah. Yeah. So in that process, we started the gym, CrossFit Mayhem. And, you know, like Rogue helped us out, gave us all the equipment, but we started a gym and started kind of a brand. And so that's kind of growing. And, you know, I never really took a ton of money from that. We just reinvested in the company, And so it was mostly sponsors. Reebok had become a big sponsor at that point. Rogue.
Well, you're number one in the world at this point too. So I'm sure
you've got the sport is like growing. And
I'm
so,
sure
you know,
people are kind of trying to dump into that gym.
Yeah. And so it was cool. And I mean, now it's kind of turned into like Disneyland. Like people travel to Cookeville. You're like, you're from where? And they're like, oh yeah, we just want to stop by the gym. It's like Disney World. So, yeah, man, like it turned into, that's what you got to do is like every day I woke up, that's what I wanted to do is win the CrossFit Games every single day. And when we had our oldest, or we were having Lakeland, I was like, man, I can't be a good father, a great father, and compete at a high level. And like I said, I was just burnt out too. And so team made sense. I grew up playing team sports. It's, you know, I'm better on a team. I enjoy suffering with other people versus, you know, doing it for myself. And so back then it was 6-person, 3 men, 3 women. And so we did that. I did that for 7 years. I think we won 6 times. Well, we did it technically 8 years. There was the COVID year that didn't count. And honestly, those are probably the better of the memories. Like individuals cool and, you know, definitely proud of those times, but being able to share it with other people, watching other people suffer and sacrifice, and then to be able to share that on the floor is pretty special.
Same team members the whole way through?
Not one time did we ever have the same team.
No kidding.
So how'd you select your team initially, and did anyone not make it to the CrossFit Games, like it kicked off the island in the workout process throughout the year? No,
so, you know, like we had the first year, it was really, we had some people move in that, you know, were wanting to compete. And so I'm like, hey, we're going to start a team. I had a guy that I had trained with. He was on our team. Another guy that was on seminar staff. He was on a team previous and had moved to Cookeville. And so that's kind of how we did it the first time. And it was more like a test. We're like, all right, let's see what happens. And then
was it the first year they actually did teams?
No, they'd done teams. We'd actually sent a team there in 2013, and they got like 17th or 20th or something. But I'm like, all right, first year to kind of dabble in it, and we should not have won. We shouldn't have won regionals at the time. The team that was ahead of us, I got awful. It was the worst. She somehow separated her patella, like she was running on like the concrete and went to cut and was on the rubber, and like it was awful.
That's nasty.
So we won regionals, shouldn't have won regionals, went to the games, and the girl on the team that was ahead of us tore her ACL doing a lift, and so we won the CrossFit Games that year, like completely out of the blue, shouldn't have won. So it was awesome. Like we had one of the ladies on the team, she was 42 and was just a member at our gym, and we had a girl that was going to compete, and she just couldn't handle being with us and didn't like our style, so she just quit on us. Wow. And so we're like, Lauren, you can at least do everything, you know, come with us. And so, man, it was awesome. She did exactly what she needed to do at the games, and we won. And then so I think we won the next year with a completely, we replaced, I think we only replaced one person that year. The next year it switched no, we got second that next year, which we don't talk about, in 2017. And then in 2018, they switched from 6 to 4, which is way better. And then they've done 4 from then on. But we had to we'd brought an athlete in because we were going to have a 6-person team. Then they announced it was 4-person's team. So we had to it was not a fun experience.
Yeah.
So I'm infatuated with leadership, and I can't help but think this happened because of you and the way you led your team and your past. You know, you won 4 CrossFit Games in a row. You're the fittest man on earth, and now you assemble a team, right? And you have even a 40-some-year-old lady on your team at the time. Everyone has to up their game being in the same room as you.
Yeah.
Right? And how did you receive that? How did you push your teammates, and what did you do to elevate their performance on a daily basis when they're having bad days and so on and so forth?
Luckily, with the groups that we had kind of pieces. I have emotionally at times I can be a little bit absent. It's the way I was raised, it was just you do what you're supposed to do. My parents were never going to ask us to do something they weren't going to do. Like if my parents are around, they're the 2 hardest working people in the room. Like that's just what they do. That's who they are. And that their style was lead by example, right? And so that's always been my style. And probably I was never going to ask anybody to do anything that I wasn't going to do. I tried not to I guess we always call it fitness shaming, hey, you have to do this. But, I think if people saw me doing something extra, like, damn it, I got to do it too, or whatever it was. And we just had really good people around. We had, different people kind of took different parts of what we needed to. I always joke that people could only hang out with me for about 4 years, and then I've rubbed them raw too much. That, I do have a little bit of I look back now and there's some substance abuse in my family, and I'm pretty sure fitness is my substance abuse. It's just what I have to do.
It's your crack.
It really is. And to that point, it could be worse, but it also can destroy you too if you get too locked up in it. So, it's hard for me to take any real credit on it because I didn't do it all. We had some good people around, and
yeah, I mean, I'm sure your level in that gym. I mean, it's that you're number 1 in the world at this point, so you're bringing up everybody in that gym because I mean, if you get the right people in there, they're trying to chase you,
right?
And so that team's just going to get better and better and better and better, or they're going to peel off because you're not going to go in there one day and be like, no,
yeah. We're going to take it easy.
Yeah,
today.
We're going to lay it down today, guys.
Yeah, and that was the fun / hard part is we almost had to put parameters on things where it's all right, we got to put a pace on this because we'll just run each other into the ground. Because everything turns into a competition. I watched that Brady documentary, where they get one up on somebody, and you're just you trying to create that culture, ride that line, but you don't want to overdo it because people get burnt out. Yeah. And what I said, about 4 years, 3 or 4 years was about burnout level. And for me it was just that's what I did and it's who I was. And I liked hanging out with the people I was hanging out with. I liked working out.
It was an obsession though. You probably
it really was.
Did you
have
any hobbies?
Yeah, sports, man. We would play flag football in the off season. We'd play roller hockey on Monday nights. I got a lot of flack because people are like, what are you doing? You can't go out and play roller hockey. I mean, we're at a 1970s roller skating rink till 11 o'clock at night playing roller hockey, and people are like, what are you doing? Or one of the guys, videographers, came out and we're playing flag football, in a league, or we started a men's wood bat league. Man, sports are what I wanted to do, right? Sure. And so, we were just, our hobbies were fitness, there's still fitness involved in all those things. So it was just a cool environment to be in, and it still is. It's just a little bit different now. We've got a ton of athletes from all over the world, but they're all in on fitness, and I'm like, let's go out and do something with that fitness.
A little diversity.
Yeah, I like to ride bikes, mountain bikes, and then now hunting is a huge passion of mine, and so it's I like to get out and do and use my fitness. It's hard for them too.
How old are your kids?
My oldest is 9, she'll be 10, and then I have a 7. Well, he'll be 7 in April, and then a 6-year-old. So we're party.
Are they know what you do, and they try to get in the gym and mess around?
Yeah, I've never once told them, hey, let's go work out. They're always like, hey, Dad, can we do a workout? My oldest is now like, she played basketball for the first time. She played softball last fall and loved it.
Yeah.
But basketball, man, it was awesome to see. You know, like, you don't think they pick up on things, but to watch her, she's never played basketball. She's pretty tall for her age. Incredible athlete, though. Can track a ball, can catch a ball over the shoulder, like football, will throw football in the yard. But to watch her come alive in basketball and get like hyped,
little competitive nature,
and like hawking balls and like rolling on the floor with girls trying to get the ball. And my wife is not that. My wife is incredible, but she's just, everybody gets a trophy, all that type of stuff. And we could not be more polar opposite on that. And to watch, she's like, you got to tell her she can't do that. I'm like, I'm not telling her shit. Like, dude, it is awesome to watch her. Like, just like read the floor, like like completely raw. Like, first game, she's running from the block to the block and just back and forth. Doesn't know what to do. And then they won the City League championship, just rec ball. But
no big deal.
Dude, just watching her come alive, man. They got beat 25-5 the first game, and they beat this team like 25-7 this last game in the championship. And just watching her like celebrate, like get like hyped, and I'm like, oh, I've seen that before. It was awesome.
I coach my daughter. I have a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 7-year-old.
Okay, you're in it. Yep.
All 3 girls. I coach my oldest daughter's soccer team, and because they reached out like 9 times, needed a coach. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And so I've never coached anything before in my life.
You ever played soccer?
Nope.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I came up with a strategy. I'm like, we're just shots on goal. That is it.
Hammer
just
the
shots
goal.
on goal. If you get the ball, just run down and shoot.
Score.
That is it. And it worked. And my kids, I mean, we were on a heater, and there's this little kid on the team, and he had a hell of a leg, and he'd just kick it down. Then like to midfield, and June is real fast, and so she'd just dribble down and score. Yeah. And Katie said something like, make sure you pass the ball, June, like yelling at her from the sideline. And I brought all the kids over and said, there's no such thing
as a bad shot.
And or by winning by too much.
There you go. I love it.
Never win by enough.
Nope.
Right?
Nope.
And then fast forward a couple games, we lost the game, and one of these little kids like, it doesn't matter if we lost. It just matters if we have fun or not. And I said, I forget his name. I think it was Clark. I said, Clark, listen, there's a winner and loser in everything you do in life. And we lost that game.
Yep.
So let's get better and win next week.
I'm fine if you give effort, and I'm fine if you're trying, but if you're not paying attention, I told the kids one time, I pulled them up because I was coaching my son's coach's pitch team too, and we, like, there was a game, like, kids aren't paying attention, balls getting hit, they're 7, whatever, and I pulled them, I took them to the outfield so the parents couldn't hear. I was like, are you embarrassed? You should be. Like, pay attention, like that type of thing. I guess one of the parents heard it, and they were fine with it, like, and then later in the season, Trice, they got dead last. Like, they got their brains beat in every game. They're super young. Like, he was supposed to be in T-ball, but he can hit a ball out of a pitched hand 99% of the time. So I'm like, we're not doing T-ball, right? So we got our brains beat in because all our kids are young. And so end of the season, the tournament, they get a medal, right? And Trice is like, well, how come that other team didn't get a medal? I'm like, they're going to get a bigger one because they beat you and they're going to keep playing. Oh, he was pissed. And my wife was like, you can't tell him that. I was like, it's life, Like, I felt, hey, you're getting a medal, whatever, but they're going to get a bigger one. He's like, this medal sucks. And I'm like,
have you seen that guy on Instagram? He's a baseball coach, and he goes, he's always talking to the pitchers.
Oh, yeah, where he's just like, are you sure you're not left-handed?
Yeah, just rails them.
When he walks out to the mound.
Yeah.
The kids laugh.
He's mic'd up. He's like, your parents left. That's how bad that was. You're walking home today.
Oh, it's so good.
Like, are you trying out here? Are you really trying? This is...
Have you coached anything, Jay?
I have not coached anything yet. I signed up to coach flag football this year, but I didn't get selected.
I can see why.
I really, honestly, the guy was like, we just kind of went with the coaches that signed up last year. I was just like, yeah, I
cool.
I probably bring no value anyway. So I'll be on the sideline.
One of the most competitive, if not the most competitive person I've ever met. Whether we're, playing cornhole or shooting hogs out of a helicopter, everything is a competition.
I had plays drawn up. I was ready to
ready to go.
Yeah,
ready to go.
They have a draft. I was excited about that. I was gonna, get some gems in the later rounds.
Oh man, those drafts. I had to go to one the other night for softball.
Yeah.
And you don't know any of these kids. Like,
no.
They've run for 4 hours. They ran I think it was somewhere around 100 kids, taking 5 pitches, running to second base after they hit, taking 4 ground balls, and then they throw them a pop fly. And watching these kids try to take a pop fly, you're like, somebody's going to break something, right? So then they go to the concession stand, and you've got to pick players, right? And you don't know.
Yeah.
And they're like, you've got your freezes or whatever, and I'm like, all right, I'm taking whoever's name is first in alphabetical order that was semi-decent, right? And then people are like sitting there like it's draft day.
Yeah.
Like, we should. I'm like, just pick somebody.
That's one of the reasons I haven't really coached yet either, is because of the parents.
I can't.
I mean,
that's the hard part.
I mean, I go to the boys' games and stuff. I've got 11, 9, 8, boy, girl. And I go to the boys' games, and most of the parents are good, but you always have a couple that are just like out of control. And it's just like, bro, they're 9. They're 9 years old. Chill out.
I've seen that many times, and I always, I have trouble not saying something or doing something when a problem like that arises.
I did on Saturday at the basketball
Really? What
game.
was the scenario? What happened?
It's 8U basketball, 9U. Mm-hmm. Every single possession, there could be a double dribble, a walk, a charge, a block, anything, right? And I don't know about basketball. Like, I don't know basketball, but I know you could call a penalty on every play. There's this guy, and he's probably 18, 19, something like that. I don't know, old enough to drive, right? And he's just hemming and like yelling at the refs, yelling at our girls about like, what that's about, like just freaking out. And everybody around us is starting to like, every time he says something, just annoyed, right? Yeah. And I'd had enough, and it was third quarter, maybe fourth quarter, and I was like, hey, man, you could literally call a penalty on, and I have a loud voice, and it carries. I'm not yelling, but I'm being loud enough to be heard. Like, you could call a penalty on any play out here. Cheer for your kid, and be quiet, please.
Yeah.
And the whole gym, like, and I'm like, great, because of course, everybody in Cookeville knows who I am.
Yeah.
And his uncle or dad looks at me, and goes, "Oh, you think you're big talking to it, whatever?" And I'm like, dude, just we want to watch the game. Yeah. Enough's enough. Cheer for your kid, right? And so then after the game, like, he comes up and he's like, "Oh, just because you're Rich Froning and you work out for a living, you're just like, all right, man." And then my brother-in-law gets in, and he knows I can't do anything, right? So I'm gonna end up on the Herald Citizen, the Cookeville paper. And so I'm like, Austin, just chill, dude. Like, it's fine. And then it all went down, but I'm just like, come on, man. It's an 8U basketball game. Chill out. Yell for your kid 100%. Support your kid, but chill out.
I mean, I think all these parents are like, that's their meal ticket. They think all these kids are going pro, and it's just like, you're going to burn them out doing that. They're going to quit.
You know what happens when basketball season was over? We put the basketball up. It's time to play softball.
Exactly.
Play as many sports as you can. That's my thing.
He said that forever.
You train other skills.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think you look at some of these kids now. I was talking to somebody, and all these kids playing baseball year round, and they're saying like, these 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, like, their arms are shot.
Done.
They look like their rotator cuffs, Tommy John surgery, are skyrocketing because they literally never stop throwing.
No. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
And you get so one-sided.
One-sided. You're closed. You're closed. I'm already making Trice. Yeah. He's 7. I'm like, all right, we're taking 3 hacks from the left. We're taking 3 hacks from the right. You may not hit him on the left, and he's actually gotten pretty good. And we won't do it in a game until he's ready to do it. Sure. But I'm like, let's just at least work on it, right?
I mean, I would always try to do, because throwing a football right. I would always try to do rotational stuff left. As much as I could, just to kind of counter myself.
Would you ever throw with your left hand or just try?
No, like we had those, what the hell, they were hydraulic. I forget what they were, but I mean, it was like just
a hammer strength type something.
Cable row thing. And I would just rotate my body the other way.
Now, throwing, I've asked you this before. It's all on your hips, right, and feet.
Yeah,
and it's just that hip rotation.
Yeah, it's just like you're kind of disengaging your top from your bottom, and it's just your hips, and then all of this kind of comes after.
Elasticity almost.
Yeah. It's a lot like throwing a football is a lot like hitting a baseball, more than pitching.
And the way you describe it, it's the same thing as throwing a punch.
Yep.
It all starts like with your feet and your hips.
Yep. All this goes down here, and that's where you generate your power.
Good.
Get up a good base.
So, what got you into hunting, or when did that start?
Let's talk hunting.
Yeah, so I would say my whole, up north, whitetail, huge. I never got the whitetail bug. I think just because I needed to move all the time, right? And so my dad, I have memories of him coming out of the woods, but he's super impatient. I'm super impatient. So he was not going to take me, right? So I'd maybe dabbled in it when I was a kid. You know, we'd go out in the woods with a BB gun, try to shoot squirrels or whatever. And I never really had eaten good venison. So I'm like, whitetail, whatever. Yeah. So fast forward to about 2012, I had a buddy, good friend of mine. I call his dad now Uncle Charles, but he's like, come turkey hunting with me. I'm like, all right, I'll go with you, right? You know, he's like, I promise we'll have some fun. Dude, I was hooked after that. Like,
where at?
In Tennessee.
Okay. Turkey hunting, it's a great intro to hunting, I think. It's
awesome, just because it's very offensive.
Active, yes.
You know, like instead of, you know, I not that whitetail is defensive, but it's reactive, interactive. You're playing a chess game, right?
Talking to him.
I loved it. Fell in love with it. Yeah. So I did that for a couple of years. And I had a buddy that was like, if you like turkey hunting, you need to try elk hunting because it's the ultimate.
I went turkey hunting for the first time at his ranch in Kentucky maybe like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how interactive it was.
Yeah.
I go out with Luke, his farm manager. We sit in a blind. We call one in. I miss. You know, it's pretty standard.
Yeah.
And then
very standard.
I missed mine. Yeah.
And then the next day or the next morning, I go out with him, and walking behind him is. You have to pretty much shuffle.
Yep.
Yeah. And he's calling, and it's just, it's a game.
That's how I do it. Yep.
It's a game of chase and locating and then calling them in. And he said the same thing. He's like, if you like this, you're going to love elk hunting.
Elk hunting is just turkey hunting on steroids.
It really is. It's awesome. And so went out west for the first time with a guide, rifle, me and my best friend, Matt, who owns the farm with me. We went out there 5 days. Thought we had to take Matt to the hospital because we ran him into the ground the first day. You know, we went out with this guide, and he's like, all right, we're going to do a lot of walking, but I'm going to like kind of feel how you guys move and, you know, whatever. Yeah. So we step out of the truck, bugle right there. We're like, hell yeah, we're in. Didn't see another elk for 5 days.
No kidding.
No, but we hiked our balls off, and it was cool. Like I learned a ton. We hunted. He was like, this is how I would hunt archery because it was so warm, bluebird skies. Yeah. You know, it was just horrible weather for elk hunting, and but I fell in love. But we about crushed Matt going up to the first outlook. I mean, we went up a couple thousand feet, but we got back to camp at 10 o'clock that night because we would walk down. We dropped him off 2/3 of the way up the hill. We went up the rest of the hill, came back down. This guy didn't know who I was, and so. If I'm on his ass, we would just keep going, right? And so when we were coming back down, we would walk for 10 minutes. Matt would shuffle for 10 minutes. We'd wait. And so we didn't get back till 10 o'clock the next morning. Or that night, he's like, dude, I think I've got rhabdo. Like, I think I'm going to, you know, I think I need to go to the hospital. I'm like, you don't need, like, eat some food, drink some water, you'll be fine. So the next morning, he didn't hunt. And then for the next 2 days, we left him in a stand. But me and the guide went everywhere. And it was awesome. I was hooked after that. And so fast forward, I went twice. Public land, over-the-counter tag in Colorado, archery in Gunnison, Colorado. Had a couple opportunities, gave my buddy a shot. He didn't take a shot. I still close my eyes and I can see this bull bedded up, and I should have taken the shot. But I was like, oh, he's done a lot of the scouting. I'm gonna let him take the shot.
Sure.
2 years of that, and then finally 2 years ago in Route National Forest, we took one finally over-the-counter. Archery, and dude, it was awesome. And so now I've killed like 4 or 5 now, but it was like to get that first one off my chest.
Archery percentage, it's like under 10%.
Under 10%.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Under 10% chance of killing one with a bow is the average in Colorado, Montana.
If you're spending a lot of time and money.
Doing
that every year.
Oh gosh, people are ate up with it.
Yeah,
I love it, man. That's if like everybody's like, "What's your dream hunt?" I'm like, I do it every year. Elk hunt, man. We went twice this year in Colorado and got snuffed, but man, it was awesome. Had two really close encounters.
It is those. I mean, the encounters and getting them and calling them in and stuff. I mean, there's really nothing like it. You know, 800-pound animal just screaming its face off.
Scream, and you can feel it on your chest when they do that grunt. I had one at 13 yards this year in some oak brush that I just couldn't. There was no shot. Like he was behind some oak brush, we were in oak brush, but he's just staring at you. You can see his breath, dude. There's nothing like it.
A couple of years ago, we were at my ranch in Montana, and buddy was calling behind me, and we had this 5x5 coming in, and I was gonna take the shot, and you know, I'm kind of tracking him. He's like 30 yards. on the trail he's on. He's kind of, we're in some thick shit, and he's kind of tracking, and he's gonna be like 30, 35 yards. And I'm like, all right, you know, opening here, because my buddy was calling back here, so I'm like, he's gonna keep coming. I'll be damned. That thing literally
at you.
I mean, there's a bunch of brush and stuff. I mean, he just went straight through it, right at me, and I'm up against a tree, and he's from me to that camera right here, and I'm just like, what do I do? What? He's gonna run me over.
Shoot him in the chest.
No, I pulled on him, and he bounced. Took off. Yeah, he bounced out of there. But I was like, this is it was halfway. You don't really know what's going on because it's happening so fast. But afterwards, I was like, that was a little too close for comfort.
Yeah. Did you see? You follow Cam? He killed one from like 6 yards this year. It was one was charging in at him.
Was that the frontal shot?
The frontal shot he took. Yeah. It's crazy, man. There's just nothing like it. No. I love that's where I in my passion. And then now, this year was the first year that I actually hunted whitetail, and now I'm like, I've got 160 acres in Cookeville, and I've already like cleared out 2 food plots in the woods. Gonna plant some beans in the fields. I'm like, all right, I'm in. So I had the realization this year of my kids. Like I was third. I killed a bear this year with we had an add-on bear tag. So we do a rifle hunt
in Colorado.
In Colorado, we had an add-on bear tag.
If you want to piss some people off, post a picture of
40,000 followers lost in 24 hours.
Yeah, did it?
Oh yeah.
So I was skimming through last night and saw that bear picture and saw all the comments.
Oh man.
And Jay has a very similar story.
Do you? Nice.
Oh my gosh, people
are insane. They're like, that bear had a family. It was going to go home to. I'm like, no, it's going to go eat its cubs. Eat the cubs so the sow will go back in heat. You moron.
I'll show you a picture. I killed a beautiful bear, but they show that to them. Like you said. I mean, if you could kill a shark. You can kill any. You could catch any fish. You can do all kinds of stuff.
Any fish, any bird, really. Turkeys. People got.
You kill a bear. Oh my gosh! End of the world.
I love bear hunting.
I love it. Honestly, so the story goes, we killed 2 cow elk, with like I said, my best buddy. We killed. On different days, and we had an add-on $100 bear tag, and so our wives were there at the cabin.
It's a big bear.
Big bear.
Goodness.
Our wives were there.
Chocolate?
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon?
Yeah, he had a cinnamon coat.
It's pretty.
About 400 plus pounds.
Yeah, it's a big bear.
And so we're sitting there. I'm like, Hill, my wife. I'm like, Hill and my media guy's wife are there. I'm like, let's go bear hunting. We have this tag. We got the afternoon. We haven't seen a bear. We'd hunted this property. We have a lease out there in Colorado. We'd hunted it 20-something days this year, not seen a bear.
How many we hunt last year?
I hunted every bit of 20, I think. I feel like, and I never saw a bear.
15 minutes in. I'm trying to explain to Hillary like what we're looking for. We're glassing. I'm like, we're going to see some elk, and I can just show them what we do, right?
Sure.
Bear.
Gosh.
He gets up. I'm pretty sure he's feeding on a gut pile from my elk earlier. He comes working his way up. I'm like, all right, we're just going to see him bear out of here, but it's cool to see one.
Sure.
And he lays down. I look at my guy, and I'm like, media guy, I'm like, you ready? He's like, let's go.
Let's go.
And so we dipped down about 1,000 yards down, 1,000 yards up, and where it was kind of like a half bowl or a quarter bowl, there was a ridge here. So we use that as cover, get up to there, get a good angle on him, find him, shoot him.
Bow?
Rifle. Mm-hmm. And about 300 yards, get up to him and just go crazy. Like, it was awesome. It was one of the coolest things ever.
How'd you get him out of there? Did you guys
that was the hard part. There was just 2 of us. Yeah. And we're like, now what? And so my buddy who's mule deer hunting on the same property, he's like, I'll be right there. And so we got him on the side of the hill right there. Phil comes up. 3 of us kind of like sled him down a little bit, because everybody that I talked to is like, do not put a knife in that bear because you will ruin him.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I got to gut him at least. And to this point, I gutted a bunch of animals, but not by myself. So I'm like, shit, I got to do this on the side of the hill by never a bear, it's not any different, but I'm like, shit. So then I had the realization, I'm like, man, I got to get my kids, like, I'm 36 years old, and that's the first time I've gutted an animal by myself. I'm like, all right. So my kids now, anytime we kill a deer, anybody in our little area, I'm like, hey, we're going to the house. Let's go gut them. And so the kids freaking love it, which is cool to see, Like, my son could squirrel hunt every single day. Every single day.
That's awesome.
I love squirrel hunting.
It's a blast.
Now, I saw you doing it with dogs. Are those your dogs?
No, it was a neighbor's dogs. This guy, he's a world champion squirrel hunter. But to become
whoa.
Exactly.
Wait a second.
Exactly.
There's a world
championship.
Where the hell
you
is
don't
this
even shoot the squirrels. So the dogs go and tree the squirrel, and then you have to, the way he explained it was, the judge is with you, and you have to be able to find that squirrel within a 50-foot radius of that tree. It's really for the dogs. But this guy is a world champ. He squirrel hunts every day but doesn't shoot them. So he squirrel trees, I guess, technically. But
he's a squirrel treer?
So he brought his dogs out. Man, he loves it. And it was awesome watching these dogs work. The hard part is, like, by the time the dog is back and forth and around and through in Tennessee, you know, in East Tennessee especially, it's deep hollers and all this stuff. And so we must have walked 5 miles and killed 2 squirrels. But at no point did my 7-year-old boy like, hey, I'm done. It was squirrel, like, oh, let's go. So it was awesome.
You guys cook them and eat them?
Yeah. We made some, for the Super Bowl, we made some squirrel egg rolls.
Really?
Yeah, I got the recipe from Meat Eater, but they were actually, and I didn't tell anybody what they were.
Sure.
And everybody's like, these are awesome. And then you tell them, and they're like, you know, like thinking they're sick. And I'm like, you loved them 2 seconds ago.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I don't think I've ever had squirrel.
It's not bad.
I would eat squirrel, but I don't think I would make a habit of it.
No, it's not. It's red meat chicken is what it tastes like.
Oh, really? It's a
or dark meat
tail.
chicken. Dark meat chicken.
I don't mind it.
It's not bad. No. I was surprised. We've done pulled squirrel, like, you know, like you would pulled chicken or pulled pork. Pressure cooked it and done that. My one buddy's mom grew up on squirrel, so she'll cook it. And then this time all we did was ground up all the meat. It's just a lot of work for a little bit of yield. That's the hard part. Like the meat tastes fine. It's just a lot of work.
How do you clean them?
I think my grandma taught me how to clean them.
Well, let's hear how you clean them.
You cut the paws off and then make a slit above its tail.
Stand on it.
Hands,
little hands.
Whatever they are. And make a slit above the tail, stand on it, then you pull. My grandma just said, what you do is take his pajamas off.
It's true.
And pull all his skin off.
And then you got to debone it. That's the hard part. Is like you got to go through and debone it. But other than that, or some people just pressure cook them whole, and then the meat
just falls off.
Yeah,
pull it off.
I think my grandma, we baked a couple, then we made like jalapeno poppers or type stuff out of.
I watched Ranella. They did like wings. They cut the arms off and made like barbecue buffalo wings. I was like, huh, that's pretty interesting.
I can see that.
Yeah, be easy.
So, squirrel hunting, getting into whitetail, you're an elk hunter, bear hunter. What other hunts are on your bucket list or do you want to get into?
Honestly,
you're going to get wrapped up in this whitetail thing.
That's where I'm at right now. It's so easy. I can walk out my house.
Yeah, but you'll start like, as soon as you start like growing deer, and like, you know, you got a 3-year-old, you're like,
I'll
give him a couple years.
Yeah, I'll give him some time.
That's what you'll get into.
We went up to Ohio end of January, and we were on the Novix tree stand farm. And man, it was awesome. Like, you're overfeed, which, you know, whatever people want to say, like, you still have to be selective. You know, like does came out and you could whack a doe as soon as you wanted to. But we sat there one night, we had this buck walk in and my son is in there. And I swear, as soon as he's probably 150, which I know what that means, but I don't know what that means. You know, like I don't know what it means in the field. People are.
So there's 95% of people are pulling the trigger on that.
Yeah, for sure. So this thing's walking in and the guy with me is like, this is him. My son sneezes. I mean, full on sneeze, but it doesn't mess with the deer.
Yeah,
really. He just keeps coming in.
Are you in a box blind?
We're in a like a ground blind.
Yeah,
and not even a box blind, like a mesh 270 blind. So he's walking in at 30, but he stays frontal. And then, I mean, it's right at dark. I can barely see anything. And then he sniffs off to our left, stomps, and takes off. And you're just like, dang it. So the next day we went to another spot. And we're sitting there, and all these does come in, and then like a group of bachelor bucks come in, and they're starting to shed some horns and stuff. And these 8s walk in, which here in Tennessee at my house, like I'd not seen anything like that. So I was ready to. He's like, "Don't, I promise, I promise." And sure enough, this big, what I consider a Big 10, come in. He's probably 130, mid 130s, 140. Good deer for me, first real buck that I killed. And he walks out and he's like, all right, now when he turns, you know, take your time, blah, blah, blah. You know, like he's trying to like mental talk me. And like, I think, you know, we've been in high stress situations. So, you know, I don't like, I'm ready. Don't have the shakes, but he's like, all right, so when you have a shot, get settled. And he's like talking to me. I'm like, all right, cool. Whack. And just hit the thing. He's like, oh, good shot. You know, like, but he's like trying to channel all this stuff. And I'm like, I got this.
We had these Gold Star wives, which are widows of Navy SEALs.
Yep.
up to my farm in Kentucky, and I'm out with one of them, and you know, they want to shoot does, but we have a bunch of bucks we want to go on too. And she had never hunted. I think she had shot a gun maybe once, and we have those Raven crossbows set up for them, and we're in a box blind, and I have it on a tripod, kind of cranked on there, that vice grip one, and we're hunting over corn, and one of our big bucks comes out, and I'm like, and I mean, she's like getting up, and I'm like,
no, don't take him.
Nope. And she, I mean, confused. She's like, what the hell? Like, this is what I'm here for. I'm like, no. Just wait. We can't shoot him. She's like, all right. And he keeps turning around looking, because we're in this food plot, looking back. And I'm like, something's coming. Something's coming. And an old 8 came out that we wanted gone. So I'm like, hey, like, get ready. Let's get on up on it. He's gonna come up to the corn, you know. And we've been looking at pictures of where to hit it, where to shoot and stuff. And she gets up on him. I'm like, all right, like, I'm gonna get my camera out. I'm gonna film. So like, whenever you're ready, she's like, okay, wait. I'm like looking for. I'm like, oh, all right, nice work.
She hit him.
Oh,
smoked him. Good. Yeah. That's awesome.
The gal I was with, that was the funnest hunt I've been on.
Yeah,
and. We were hunting a couple days, and we were rotating. So the gals got to sit with a different guy each time and learn something different from a different point of view. And so I was sitting with this gal, Rebecca, and a little yearling walks out, and then another one walks out right underneath us. And I looked at her, I said, about 30 seconds. And then a big doe walks out. Well, she walks right underneath us, and then turns and faces us.
Oh.
So, and she's pregnant, so she's trying to sit on the edge of her stool, and she's in an uncomfortable spot. She has the crossbow up, and it seemed like an eternity. That deer never turned broadside or anything. And we talked about shot placement, you know, and everything like that while we were waiting, because this is later on in the morning. Then it turns around and starts walking directly away. I'm like, oh man, this thing's gonna get away from us and walk right into the woods. And I'm on the laser rangefinder, losing my shit. I'm shaking.
Yeah.
Right. And I get buck fever like nobody's business. Right. So I'm trying to just, you know, get on this doe so I can get an accurate range for 40 yards, 45 yards, 50 yards. I'm like, you want me to stop her? She goes, yeah, stop her. And I was just about to make a noise to stop her. Shoot. And it turned broadside-ish, you know, but it's quartering away. It was 55 yards. I'm like, take her. Wham, thwack. When that arrow hit that freaking doe, it sounded like she got hit with a wiffle ball
wet
bat.
Paper, yeah.
And she looks at me and she goes, did I hit him? I'm like, you smoked that thing. It went maybe 10 yards, right?
Yeah, and right there on the edge. She didn't go anywhere.
I grabbed Rebecca. I'm like, you just smoked that deer. Then I realized like how tight I got a hold of her. I'm like, I'm sorry. Oh man, I was pumped.
That's awesome.
that was a great,
all
great
the girls
hunt.
except for one killed.
Yep. I don't think Brooke
didn't. She missed with me.
Okay.
A big doe. Actually, I don't know where. Actually, I think she might have hit him in that dead zone.
Oh, yeah. That morning Rebecca shot that deer.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
A little bit back. A little bit back.
No, it was just high. Like there's
high.
This dead zone kind
right
of
up there
in the shoulder. Like you missed the vitals, but you missed the spine too.
Yep.
Because I heard it hit, and we found the arrow, and looked like there was fat and stuff on it, like no blood. And it kind of jumped like it got hit, and then it walked off, and you could tell like it was like, what the hell just happened?
What just happened? Yeah.
But it happens.
So I saw in your comments that the guys from Blood Origin chimed in to educate
the non-educated.
Well said. On bear hunting when you shot that bear. I was fortunate enough to meet
Robbie.
Yep, at Winter Strong at the Sornex event.
Yep.
A couple weeks ago or last month.
What is Blood Origin?
So you could probably explain it better than I can.
Non-profit.
It's a non-profit that educates the non-hunters.
Okay,
you know, and
gotcha.
We watched a good film on that they did on mountain lion hunting and everything that goes into it, you know, and how controversial it is and why it needs to happen, why it needs to take place.
Well, nothing else kills mountain lions, just like bears. If you don't,
and wolves,
like they just gonna keep populating and just decimate.
And I mean, you're correct, but how do you teach people this? Well, he's a videographer and a filmmaker, and they do a phenomenal job.
He's brilliant.
And after I saw your post about your bear and them chiming in, well, the Field Etho guys chimed in for us. Nice. This weekend. We were out doing population control on female aoudad, coyotes, and hogs in West Texas. Of course, we got a bunch of flack, and I've looked through the comments. I noticed it kind of takes care of itself.
Yeah. Yeah. People come to the defense pretty well.
Correct. And I thought it might be interesting moving forward if we, do this hunt again next year to bring out Robbie and all those and his crew and film it and talk to the ranchers. We were hunting, I think, about 500,000 acres, you said, between all the different ranches involved, and interview the ranchers and essentially do what he something similar to what he did for this mountain lion video that he did to educate on the overpopulation, of aoudad and the disease that they spread to the sheep that are native and so on and so forth.
They're non-native and invasive. That's what people don't get.
Yeah. What's your relationship with Robbie? Have you worked with him in the past, or?
Yeah, so Robbie he just reached out to us. I think he saw that, I was into hunting and have gotten really into hunting over the last couple of years and seen all the controversy and the fact that I won't shy away, I guess, from the controversy. Mm-hmm. I'll get in there every once in a while and stir the hornet's nest.
Stir it up a little bit?
Yeah.
It's always fun.
Yeah. I now have a thing where anytime somebody posts something stupid or comment, I usually put it on my story on Instagram, so then people then attack that person. So, I'm fine with...
serve them to the masses.
Yeah, I'm fine with, say what you want about me, but a couple people went after my wife after this last one, and I'm like... Yeah. Stay away from my wife or kids, or we're gonna have problems, So, but Robbie's I guess, just wanted to come out and do a podcast, but we've become friends, and we had him on our podcast, and we took comments that people made, and no preparation, would just feed them to him, right? Mm-hmm. And he would just dismantle them in the most, he's got that South African accent, so he sounds extra smart, but he is incredibly smart. Mm-hmm. So now it's like you can't argue with him, and so. Man, he's just a cool dude and very passionate about what he does, and passionate about hunting and the need for hunting in a positive light.
Yeah, he's incredibly intelligent. I'm going to reach out to him and get him on this podcast.
Okay. I've got his number if you want it.
That'd be great. I noticed now you're tying in archery and hunting into your workouts, and which goes with our brand, just get outside. And I saw you post something, hey, we're even working out outside more. Yeah. And we're just getting outside. And that's what we're advocates of. What's your daily workout routine now? And how do you tie in, your passion for the outdoors and hunting into your workouts?
Yeah. So, we've got the gym, CrossFit Mayhem, and it's 20-something thousand square feet. And we've got, we have high-level athletes. We've got CrossFit Games third-place finisher last year that trains there. We got a couple teams, but then we also have, our youngest member is 5 years old because we have a CrossFit Kids class. It's glorified PE. Mm-hmm. My daughter does preteens. We have a teens class, and then our oldest member's, I think, 84.
Wow.
And so we have kind of a senior level class. It's CrossFit, but it's a little less intimidating. So I'll be there most mornings training with I'll do a class sometimes randomly. I'll jump in with the elite athletes, or I might just do something myself. And then in the afternoons, usually it's something outside. Last year I did a ton of outside stuff, getting ready for Leadville with mountain biking.
So you work out twice a day?
Yeah. It's just, I still am a little bit of a psycho when it comes to that. When's
the last time you worked out?
I kind of ran out to the chopper one time this weekend.
There you go. gotta get there quick. Yeah. Get to the chopper. And but then at the house I've got about a 5,000 square foot barn that is a gym, and all the doors open, so it's outside, right? And so we do a ton of stuff. The big thing we're trying to push now or starting is called Mayhem Hunt.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram. It's cool.
It's like fitness-based hunting. It's a lot of grunt work type stuff, a lot of carries, it's CrossFit, but with our own twist on it that we know, you don't need to snatch if you're hunting. It's not a huge, we can do a bunch of other shoulder stuff that's safe and get you ready. But we have the realization, at no point am I ever that animal's up there and I got to go get it. Should we do it? I don't ever want to have that. There's an animal up there. I'll look at my media guy because he trains just as hard as I do, and he's like, let's go. Yeah. The plan, and then we got to figure out the plan. It's not we killed that bear up there. And we're like, shit. Now what do we do? We know we're going to get it down, but how are we going to get it down? So that's kind of what we're doing with Mayhem Hunt. And what I've incorporated a lot, like you're saying, is archery, high heart rate archery. Not necessarily even high heart rate. I've done a lot of like zone 2-ish work. So like for me, it's like 140 beats a minute. And so like hop on a bike. Like last night we did a 10K on the bike erg, and you'd do 1,000, and every 1,000 you'd have to get off and shoot an arrow from 20 yards. And then just to try to like not necessarily settle, like, hey, like there's a reward for going fast, but it also comes at a price. And what is that? Like, what's the best way to do that? Not all the workouts we do are with shooting or will be with shooting.
Left-handed?
I am now. So
what does that mean?
So every year I'd noticed when I would shoot my bow, when I'd get into archery and just get obsessed with it about July and through September, my left shoulder would just ache at night. And I'm like, what the hell? So I'm like, screw it. It just hurt, like the stabilization holding it out here. Turns out I've got from years of just abuse.
Being the fittest guy in the world.
I've got 2 tears in 2 of the different rotator cuff muscles, and then tendinosis in I think my subscap. And so every year that just being in that position, and I wasn't rehabbing, like I was just competing, right? Like like screw it, I'll just rub some dirt on it, we'll be fine. And so I was like, screw it, I'm gonna switch to left-handed because it doesn't hurt to draw. I'm actually left eye dominant, so that made sense. I still shoot a rifle right-handed, but I bow hunt left-handed, and it really was not that hard to switch. So now I shoot left-handed. As I found out later, the reason why it hurts is because I've got those tears in that left shoulder, but it doesn't hurt to draw. It just hurts to get in this position. So
when you get your heart rate up and you're shooting, do you shoot on the natural respiratory pause, or do you hold your breath for
I do like a half breath hold. Does that make sense? Like not a full,
that's what
like,
I do too. Yeah.
But it's like and then I come up on the target for some reason. Everybody's like, you come down on the target. I'm like, come up on the target. For me, archery, I just come up on it. I come
up too.
Yeah.
I pull the trigger.
Doesn't know what he knows does.
At the bottom of my respiratory pause, I'll hold my breath for a split second.
Okay.
When all the air is out, that's what I do.
Yeah.
The bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it settles it up. So I come from the bottom up.
But it, everybody's like, oh, we had some people who are like, well, this is useless because we did the meat eater. I went out, me and Giannis did a workout where you'd do 20 air squats, run up to the top of his hill, run back down, do 20 air squats, and you'd shoot while your partner did the same thing. And so we did like 5 or 6 rounds of that. Of course you get the keyboard warriors like, this is worthless for whitetail hunting. I need to go sit and bow. And you're just like, dude, no, there's actually some benefit. Like when that deer walks out, you get the shake, you get whatever. You're like, all right, if I can, I don't only shoot with a high heart rate. That's why he's like, well, if you shoot with a high heart rate all the time, I'm like, I never said shoot only with a high heart rate.
Sure.
But it's good to add in to like change it up every once in a while.
Absolutely.
And so, but it's just funny, man. Like, how you guys know how it is with the internet. People just give every idiot a voice that you're just like, they think they're, and it happens in every community. Now that I've been in the CrossFit community, there's awesome people in the CrossFit community, but there's some turds.
Oh, yeah.
Mountain biking, same thing, like 99% of them are awesome, and then you get 1 or 2 on this video we put out that are like, oh, see, he's not the fittest man on earth. The guy that won this race was 5 hours and 42 minutes, and he was 8:32, and you're like, how do you define fitness? Like, we add a barbell anywhere in there, anywhere at like 225, it's a different out. Like, just like, can't we just, hey, working out's good for you? Like, let's just have some fun,
Price to be
and then
the fittest
hunting's
man
the same
on
way.
earth.
Yeah.
Oh man, so that would ruin me. My body can't handle that anymore. But
you don't have to worry about being the fittest man on earth.
I thought I might take a shot at the title next
Hey, 100 burpees, man. 100 burpees a day.
Yeah, that's it. So, what hunts do you have lined up this year?
We got a couple. I'm gonna pronghorn. I'm gonna try to do a pronghorn archery.
Archery.
I think we're gonna try in Colorado. I think.
I've been told you just have to wear white.
Really?
Wear white, and have you seen those the silhouette things you put in your bow? People swear by them.
That's what everybody says. My buddy killed one from 70 yards last year.
That's a poke with a bow. With hitting a pronghorn.
Yeah.
That's a poke. So those little things they're
fast.
Not that big.
No, they're not that big.
He shot an elk, I'm brag on it, 73 yards last year.
Yeah, give or take.
I dabble. Heck
we had Josh Fields from Rocky Mountain Elk Calls with us, and he was calling. We had it on camera and stuff, so the sun was kind of setting and it was perfect. It was a old bull, I think, 5x6. I mean, huge body, and on my ranch out there, we have cattle up there.
Yeah.
But we try to get them all off before, and there's always some stragglers.
Always.
And we got into, they were all herded up. There was probably 200 out in this field because they kind of had gotten pushed a little bit.
Was it late?
No, this is 15th, 20th, something like that. I mean, they were bugling like crazy.
Yeah.
It was
peak rut.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so we kind of chased them and didn't really get a shot off on that crew. We couldn't pull them off. There were cows everywhere. Yeah. So I was like, let's dip over, let's go over this mountain, let's go back down and let's try this other face. And I mean, we got 2 going and calling, and we get to this spot where it's clearing, but there's 2 dairy or meat cows.
Moo cows,
Moo cows, yeah, like probably 30 yards from me. And they're just sitting there. I hate them. The dumbest animal in the entire world.
When you're hunting.
And all of a sudden, the elk that I shot popped out. And he's broadside. He's looking down. But he's looking at those cows. Hates the cows.
Yep.
He's not coming any farther. And so I looked at Brandon, the camera guy. I'm like, you got this? And he's like, yeah. He goes, I'm ready if you want to do it. And I looked at Josh. And Josh is like, nice. That's a nice bull. I was like, it's 5x6. And everyone's just like, I look at everyone, I go, should I shoot it? And everyone's like, this is perfect, shoot it. I'm like, all right, whatever. So pulled back and
you got single pin?
Yeah. And he ranged it for me, put it at 75, let it fly, and Brandon was like, you missed, the camera guy. And Josh was like, you missed. And I was like, dang it. I felt really good about that though, guys. Like I tracked the arrow, it was straight uphill.
Yeah.
Tracked the arrow, like I feel like it hit, and they're like, no, you missed. I'm like, well, shit, whatever. It's about dark. Like we got into it today. It's fine. So another bugle is off to the right. So we start kind of walking that way, and we're kind of walking uphill. And where I shot, we're kind of walking this way. And I'm like, you know what? That's like a $40 arrow.
Let's go get the arrow.
I'm just gonna go up there and look around. And I go up there, and I mean, there's just blood
everywhere.
I'm like, hey, dickheads!
I hit him.
I hit him.
Hell yeah!
And we
7. That's a poke, man. That's awesome.
It was fun. It was a fun hunt. So you got pronghorn. You're gonna go elk hunting again?
Yeah, I think we've got 2 elk. Colorado, we're on a lease out there, so we'll probably do that one.
Bear again?
I'll do an add-on bear tag and see what happens.
Yeah, might as well.
Like anytime I go out there, I'm like, give me the $100 add-on tag. Might as well.
I get one in Montana. They're $300 there.
Yeah,
you can do
wolf.
Yeah, you got wolf, but you can do bear in the spring, and it carries over to the fall.
It carries over. That's cool.
So that's nice.
I'll do, I think, another archery bull or archery elk in Utah, maybe.
Oh, nice. Got some big ones.
Mountain Ops. I just started working with Mountain Ops. That, and then probably some whitetail stuff. Maybe in, I think, Iowa, we may have 1 whitetail, and then I've got a couple of different connections, so we'll figure all that out. But I want to try to do more archery. I'm not like married to archery. I enjoy it more. Like it's more anything that I've killed with archery. I feel
more connected.
Yeah, you just like
you earned it a little bit more.
Yeah. Like I killed a couple deer with rifle and for meat, and then we do that kind of rifle elk, cow elk hunt, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
but I'm just like, I don't feel like I don't have that like
sense of accomplishment a little bit more with them.
It's hard to.
Have you done any of the Total Archery challenges yet?
We've talked about trying to do some of those this summer.
You should come out to Big Sky.
Are you going to Big Sky?
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Yeah, this will be our 3rd year in a row. We're gonna have a booth set up there and everything. But it's a great time.
Yeah, everybody loves those things and raves about them. They're supposed to have one in Tennessee, but I think it got moved to Georgia, right, or something.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out. We want to do a couple of those Mountain Ops.
Guys invited us out.
I think they're always at the Big Sky one
and
too.
then trying to figure out we're in between bow companies at the moment, but we've got a couple suitors, so we're trying to figure that out.
Which ones?
I've shot Hoyt for years, and then I shot an Elite yesterday.
Ooh, are they out of Michigan?
New York. And man, it shot well. And part of that was like shorten my draw length up maybe like a 1/4 inch or something, and then where I could anchor kind of on my jaw here, where I've always just kind of like this hand always been back here, and I've tried the finger and the thumb, and I've come to the term I think I like the thumb better.
Getting the string off your face a little bit.
Well, it's on my nose still, but I still like I have this anchor back here, so I have like 2 anchors here. And it just feels better. And so
all those they make
they're all so good,
and they make a new one every year.
Every year,
like damn. I mean, I don't even know the difference anymore.
Wait,
I mean, you're still shooting your Z7 from 2010, 11.
Hey, if it works,
he just got it restrung at at the lodge by Ray. We'll see if this thing's still shooting.
I don't know how I feel about it. You know, we got to these TAC events, and everyone. I mean, it's the latest. There's race cars,
and then they've got stabilizers. And I'm like, I want to do a TAC, but I want to do it with what I'm going to hunt with. I don't want to train myself. Like that's the same thing I used to do with like in CrossFit. I'm like, I don't want to train in Olympic lifting shoes because half the time I'm not going to wear Olympic. Like, why would I not train like I'm going to compete? You know. So
I will say this: if you're gonna do that, get some cheap arrows.
Oh yeah, I'm going to lose arrows left and right for sure.
The first year,
we shot hard last year though.
Shot well last year.
Yeah.
But I had one of those tricked out bows that you guys just said you hated.
I've got like 7 miles of mountain bike trails at the house. So we've talked about getting some 3D targets.
There you go.
And putting them random spots throughout the woods to just like, 5 or 6 of them.
And then you can work on your retention system and all that stuff. Yeah.
So the only problem is it's kind of in where we'll be hunting. So I'm like, will that mess them up? Like depending on time of the year, it'll probably be fine. They get used to you.
Exactly.
I just got my Z7 restrung and I have to go pick it up. I might do that after this, but it's been original since 2011.
You're lucky you didn't blow up on you.
I know, right? I know. I look at mine sometime and I'm like, oh, those strings.
Like shit's falling off of it, like dry rotted, but
it works, man.
It does. And I hunt with it. And
she shot well last year.
Yeah.
But, that's all that matters, man. Yeah, like I said, I've shot Hoyt for years, and then that's the first bow I've shot that's not Hoyt. Yeah. Other than I had a Matthews early on, but I didn't shoot it enough to actually say that I shot. I bought it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll shoot all the time, and I never did. Yeah. Now I'm like, damn, why didn't I shoot more?
Tell us a little about Froning Farms. What do you got going on there?
Yeah, so Froning Farms. So me and my best friend, we grew up a mile from each other. Both of us lived what we call Pfeiffer Mountain. It's 10 minutes from town. We both, in college and stuff, moved off of the mountain out of our parents' house. And we were both firefighters. On his off days, he raised cattle. And then on my off days, I was an exterminator, and I washed and waxed houseboats. So
really,
fast forward to 2014, my wife had this like, yeah, we can move close to back up there, but I don't want to go that far. It's 11 minutes from town, but you get out. She thinks it's out. So she's like, she had this like, this border, essentially, this road that she's like, as long as it's not past that. Well, it turns out this farm came up for sale right at the spot. And I'm like, hell yeah. So we got it at an auction in 2014. My dad actually, I was at regionals. My dad stayed back, bought it with my money, but for me, while I was competing. And so we got 169 acres. And then Matt, in the same time, he bought some land between us and his mom. And then my dad lives a little farther. And so we started having kids, and we were like, I don't want our kids to be shitheads. Like, let's give them something they have to do. Like, we didn't have a working farm as a kid, but we did chores. We had 2 horses. My dad was a cheap ass. He wasn't going to put his daughter on a half-broke horse. He's going to put his 14-year-old son on the half-broke horse and get thrown off. So that's my like farming background. And so we were like, all right, let's do cattle. Matt did cattle and on his off days. And so in that whole process, I was reading Ranella's American Buffalo book. I'm like, hey, let's do bison. He's like, yeah, but I don't know anything about bison. I'm like, neither do I. How hard can it be? And so fast forward, we have a bison farm now.
Really? Sell them?
Yeah. So we do meat sticks and bars and stuff like that. Yeah. And then we sell some out of our coffee shop. Like,
how many bison do you run at a time?
Right now, we've got about 30-ish. We had a problem in the beginning. You got to have like a strong working facility, so there's a big upfront cost on that. And at first, so where they're not necessarily native to this area, or with how wet it gets, they'll like worms and stuff. And so we were having some trouble with keeping them healthy. And so we were like, all right, we got to get the working facility. And that was 2 years ago. And now like the herd is super healthy. But also in the process, my wife is really big on Instagram, loves Instagram, and Highland cows. Those golden doodles with horns. So we have 7 of those, but it keeps her from meddling in the bison herd.
I had 2 of those one time.
Yep. And so we have 7.
They're just like big dogs.
They're literally, and these things will go
they're
in.
Cool looking.
They're cool looking, but they're stupid looking at the same time. They'll go in and out of the fence, and they'll just like, cruise around, and everybody's like, you got a cow in the middle of the driveway, and I'm like, it's fine. We go a half mile off the road, and there's woods, and they're herd animals, so they're not going anywhere. But I disdain those things.
I shot a bison a couple months ago, and afterwards
in the face.
In the face. Oh yeah. With a 300 Win Mag, about 150 yards or so.
That'll do it.
Ass over tea kettle. straight back.
Oh yeah,
it was
300
impressive.
Win Mag is a mean gun.
Yeah, and then I was talking to our guide about getting it processed, and he's like, "Oh no, we only process it one way, and it's just like a cattle."
Yeah. I mean, they're basically just big cattle.
Same thing.
And so fast forward, now I got a freezer full of meat, and it is
the best meat you've ever had.
I had my four-year-old's birthday party a couple weeks ago. Had all the neighbors over, did bison burgers, and people just lost their mind. Like, these are bison burgers?
Yep, less fat.
These cost me $15 a pop at Costco or something like that. You know?
Dude, bison meat is awesome.
Yeah. It is really good. I love it.
What else you have going on? You have your gym. You have
the gym,
Froning
Farms. We do some online programming. That's, like we have the CrossFit Mayhem gym, and then we have a very large online training, like people that use it either in their garage or at their gym community. And then we have CrossFit gyms, or I guess just any gym that can do our programming. So
is that subscription based?
Yeah, subscription based on an app. That's just Mayhem Athlete, but it's been cool, man. We've had a good run for sure, and we got a lot of good people doing it behind the scenes.
And you own a coffee shop?
We have a coffee shop at the gym. Yeah. So Buffalo Brew. It's a cool. We had this spot in the front of the gym that was connected to it. That it used to be a showroom for like interior design stuff, and then the gym was the warehouse. And so this upfront spot just kind of sat there, and we have some offices in there for all of our employees. But then I was like, man, we had a chiropractor in there for a little while, and then he left, and so it was just sitting there. So I'm like, let's just put a coffee shop in there. Excellent. So it's pretty cool.
Conveniently, I have a coffee mug for you.
Oh, sweet.
So this is one of our.
This is one of yours
products. Here, let me. Okay, that works too.
What's in your wallet?
Amex. Sharpened.
Is it a razor?
Yeah, you can put this like the knife sharpener. Works sharp. Works great for those things.
That's actually true.
I like it.
And the handle rotates so it fits in your cup or your pickup.
Oh, nice. There you go. That's handy.
There you go. A gift from
us.
Appreciate
that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's our AM. And we have a water bottle is our all day, and our hard koozies are PM. But that's our best seller. So I wanted to give you one.
Appreciate that.
Conveniently, you own a coffee shop.
There we go.
So it works out great.
Works out awesome.
Cool. Well, check out. It's got a gym in Cookeville, Mayhem Hunt, Bison, coffee shop.
Yeah.
Who knew that CrossFit was gonna
book? Don't you have a book?
Yeah, I do have a book. Yeah, technically, man, it's been 12 years, I think, since that book. Yeah,
time for
I still get residual checks. I'm like, sweet.
Mailbox money.
Yeah, mailbox money. I'll take that. Yep. So we got that, and then I guess there's a documentary on Netflix. So I guess it's on everything now. It was on Netflix for a while, but I think it's on everything.
Awesome. So, well, we really appreciate you making the drive down.
Yeah, appreciate you boys. Have to come out, and we got some acreage, hunt a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to.
Turkey season coming up.
Rich Froning, the fittest man on earth.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
Appreciate it, man.
All right.